In the farthest reaches of the galaxy, on a world long forgotten by most, stood an ancient library. It was said to house the wisdom of millennia, guarded by the most formidable creatures ever to exist. The library, known as the Ancestral Archive, was filled with ancient texts, scrolls, and artifacts of lost civilizations. Its shelves were made of rare metals, its walls constructed with stones that were impervious to time and decay. The knowledge within was invaluable, capable of changing the course of history or destroying it. For centuries, only a select few were allowed access to this treasure trove of information. But what most people didn't know was that the library was also guarded by an ancient protector, an alien dragon named Talorin. His wings, vast and silver, spanned the length of a starship, and his scales shimmered with the colors of nebulae. His eyes, glowing with an ethereal light, were as old as the stars themselves. Talorin had been bound to protect the library for eons, a sentient being with immense power, a creature born of both magic and science. He was as wise as he was fierce, and it was his duty to ensure that no one took what they did not deserve. For most of his existence, Talorin had been alone in the library. The corridors, filled with ancient books and dust, had been his only company. He roamed the vast hallways, watching over the sacred knowledge, keeping it from prying hands and greedy hearts. He could feel the presence of intruders, and he would dispatch them without hesitation. But then, something changed. It all began when a human woman, named Mira, arrived at the library. She was a janitor hired to clean the vast spaces, tasked with making sure the bookshelves were dust-free and the floors were spotless. She was just an ordinary woman, sent to do an ordinary job. At first, she had no idea what the library truly was, nor who its guardian was. She only knew she had been hired by a mysterious organization that seemed to value cleanliness over everything else. When Mira first arrived, Talorin watched her from the shadows, cautious of her presence. He had never encountered a human woman in the library before, and he was curious about this new visitor. At first, Mira simply went about her tasks, mopping the floors and wiping down shelves. She never spoke to anyone, never asked questions. She simply did her job. But Talorin, in all his wisdom, began to sense something different in her, a quiet determination, an unspoken defiance. She was no ordinary janitor, it seemed. One morning, as Mira was cleaning one of the more ancient halls, Talorin finally made his presence known. His massive form appeared at the entrance, his wings folding against his back as he approached. Mira froze, her mop in midair. Her breath caught in her throat as she gazed at the towering creature before her. "You are trespassing," Talorin's voice rumbled, the words vibrating through the very walls of the library. "This knowledge is not for you." Mira, unfazed, simply stared up at the dragon. She wiped the sweat from her brow, not intimidated by his size or presence. She had been hired to do a job, and that was exactly what she was going to do. She wasn't interested in the secrets the library held, nor did she feel the need to explain herself to the dragon. "I'm just cleaning," she responded, her voice calm and matter-of-fact. Talorin's glowing eyes narrowed. "You dare speak to me in such a way?" he growled. "Do you not understand the importance of this place? The knowledge within these walls must never be disturbed by mere mortals." Mira's eyes softened, but she didn't back down. She simply shrugged, continuing to wipe down the nearby shelf. "I'm not here to steal anything," she said. "I'm just doing my job." The dragon's wings flared as he stepped closer, his large frame casting a shadow over her. "Your presence is an insult," he hissed. "You have no respect for the power that resides here. Your species cannot even fathom the depth of the wisdom within these texts." Mira stood tall, her resolve unwavering. She looked up at the dragon, meeting his intense gaze. Look, I don't need to understand, she said, her tone steady. I don't need to know why I'm here or what's in the books. I just need to do my job. I was hired to clean, and that's what I'm going to do. For a moment, Talorin said nothing, his immense form towering over the woman. He had never encountered anyone like her before. Most intruders cowered before him, begging for mercy, but Mira was different. She didn't fear him. She didn't seek to challenge him. She simply didn't care about the secrets he guarded so fiercely. Talorin was both intrigued and frustrated. You are wasting your time, he said after a pause. The knowledge here is far beyond what your species can comprehend. Mira smiled softly, placing her mop down. Maybe, but that's not why I'm here, is it? She leaned against the nearby table, crossing her arms. I'm just doing my job. Maybe I don't need to understand it. Maybe I don't need to know why you're here, either. But it seems you have a lot to say. For the first time in eons, Talorin was stumped. This human woman, this janitor, had no interest in the vast wealth of knowledge the library held. She didn't want anything from him. She simply wanted to fulfill her duties. Her indifference bewildered him. Do you not wish to learn? He asked, almost incredulously. Mira shrugged again. Maybe, but that's not why I'm here. She glanced at him, her eyes soft. I don't need to learn everything in these books. I just need to do my job. The dragon blinked, taken aback by her response. The simplicity of it was unsettling to him. Yet there was a quiet wisdom in her words. Mira wasn't interested in the grandiosity of the knowledge the library held. She wasn't seeking power or fame. She simply had a job to do, and that was enough for her. Talorin's heart, if it could be called that, stirred. He had spent millennia guarding this place, keeping it from those who would misuse its power. But Mira didn't want the knowledge for herself. She simply wanted to clean, to maintain the space that held it. She wasn't trying to take anything from him. And for the first time, the dragon realized that perhaps his purpose wasn't just to guard the knowledge, but to understand the humans who didn't seek it. Over the next few weeks, Talorin and Mira found an unlikely camaraderie. Mira continued with her work, and Talorin kept his watchful eye on the library, but he no longer argued with her. He observed her, puzzled by her simple nature. She didn't crave power. She didn't seek to change the world. She just wanted to do what she was hired to do. The dragon, who had once been a figure of untouchable wisdom and fury, began to learn that not all wisdom lay within the ancient texts. Some of it, he realized, lay in the simple, unassuming acts of others. Mira taught him patience, humility, and the value of fulfilling one's duty, no matter how small. And so, in the vast halls of the Ancestral Library, where the weight of centuries of knowledge hung in the air, an unlikely bond formed between the ancient dragon and the human woman who simply wanted to clean.